The symbol of the pentagram is one of the most well-known occult symbols, and unfortunately also one of the most misunderstood and feared. This is because the symbol of the pentagram holds both positive and negative information pertaining to the human soul, and unfortunately those who would seek to keep mankind ignorant of himself and in fear of symbols have only focused on the negative qualities that this symbol communicates. The true seeker must not ever have a fear of symbols, for symbols are there to relay knowledge to man on a deeper level than words are able to. Symbols speak to the soul and the higher consciousness within mankind, to convey knowledge of the invisible and spiritual nature of our world and man that words alone cannot achieve. Manly P. Hall also understood the importance of symbolism in relation to higher wisdom, and he stated, "Symbolism is the language of the mysteries. By symbols men have ever sought to communicate to each other those thoughts which transcend the limitations of language." Knowledge of our true nature already exists within each of us. What we must do in these lower ages of ignorance is stir awake these memories buried deep within our psyche, and remember who we are once again. Symbols speak to us on this deeper level and help us tap into those parts of our psyche that have been slumbering and keeping us ignorant to our ethereal nature. The ancient philosopher Paracelsus relays this to us when he goes on to say, "All arts lie in man, though not all are apparent. Awakening brings them out. To be taught is nothing. Everything is in man waiting to be awakened." What Paracelsus is alluding to is that we cannot expect to expand ourselves consciously by only reading a book by a popular author, listening to a man preach from a pulpit, or attending an establishment educational institute to instruct us on our beliefs. These avenues of information do not speak deeply to the soul and will not awaken the spirit trapped in matter waiting to be released. Only higher wisdom can release a soul from their material prison, and therefore each soul is responsible for remembering who they are by seeking out knowledge independently and without fear. In the Gospel of Thomas it states, Jesus said, "The Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them. They have not entered, nor have they allowed those who want to enter to do so. As for you, be as sly as snakes and as simple as doves." Again we see that the seeker is warned against attaining knowledge from those in educational or religious institutions. We must seek out this information where it has been hidden from us, and we must remove all our previous beliefs and preconceptions and approach this knowledge as a completely blank canvas like an innocent child. This is also what the Fool tarot card is symbolizing when taken in the context of the seeker beginning his journey of self-discovery. The upright pentagram is symbolically connected to man when he has a full understanding of himself as both a physical and spiritual being. He is in control of all his senses. They do not control him. These 5 senses of sight, smell, touch, hearing, and taste are also connected to the 5 points on the pentagram. These senses are how each soul experiences their material environment. It is also how the Creator experiences his creation through man. When shown in the upright position, the head is relating to Ketha and is showing the mind is connected to higher wisdom. The 5 points of the pentagram can also relate to man and woman manifested on all 3 causal planes, as shown with this esoteric diagram. Mars is man, Venus is woman, Jupiter the soul, Mercury the intellect, and Saturn the physical. The moon is shown connected to the sacrum, as it is also shown on the capillary tree of life. This is symbolizing that the material creation of every soul results from the merging of the male and the female. The sun is positioned at the solar plexus, for that is where the soul, known in ancient Egypt as the Ka, resides in the physical form of man. The soul's intellect, known by the ancient Egyptians as the Ba, is positioned at the third eye. The pentagram star is positioned inside the circle, which relates to the cycle of higher and lower ages in which mankind exists and which connects to his higher and lower states of consciousness. This cycle has been covered in more detail in the video explaining the symbol of the Ouroboros. When the pentagram is inverted, this is showing that man is in a state of ignorance. He has no understanding for his divine nature or his soul. He sees himself as only a physical being in a material existence, and is at the mercy of his senses, which control him both physically and consciously. This is where we can identify the symbol of the pentagram relating to the negative characteristics inherent within mankind, and that is why the inverted pentagram is related to the symbol of Satan. However, Satan is not a supernatural creature as the religious organizations would have their flocks believing. Rather, Satan is a state of consciousness. We can see this symbolized in the Devil Tarot card, showing the minds of both the male and female chained to only a physical understanding of themselves on a material level. The pentagram on the Devil Tarot card is also inverted, symbolic for the intellect of man and woman trapped in the earthly perspective they have of themselves, instead of upright as it should be, with their minds situated at the position of Ketha. The ancient philosopher Boethius stated in his writings, The Consolation of Philosophy, "Indeed, the condition of human nature is just this. Man towers above the rest of creation so long as he realizes his own nature, and when he forgets it, he sinks lower than the beasts. For other living things to be ignorant of themselves is natural, but for man it is a defect." The 5 points on the pentagram also relate to the elements in which God manifests his mental projection of creation materially. The lower points of the pentagram relate to the 4 manifest elements of air, fire, earth, and water, for they are the building blocks of creation. The 5th point is connected to the ether, which is the unseen element. The ether shares some similarities to the element of water and can be likened to the tide moving in and out of our material plane throughout the cycle, bringing with it the light and Christ consciousness, which raises mankind out of his state of ignorance, but also returns him to an age of darkness when it recedes. However, the ether interacts and shares similarities with all the 4 earthly elements, because they are all manifest within the hidden element of ether. For those who understand the subject of the esoteric on a deeper level, and have identified the divinity within mankind existing in different degrees, the 5 points also relate to these degrees of divinity. Gold and silver relates to the divine man, the bronze is relating to the demigods, and the iron and clay man relates to mortals, which are symbolized by the 2 lower points on the pentagram star. We can also see these 5 degrees of divinity within mankind symbolized in the great statue from the book of Daniel. The pentagram is also one of the important symbols of the tarot and are known as pentacles. In this context, the symbol relates to the divine laws of God being applied through will. It is one thing to know what is divine law, but it is another thing entirely to apply these laws to our own experience. However, it also relates to God applying His will through these divine laws, which are then manifest to us as our destiny and fates. The number 5 tarot card, the Hierophant, is also related to the destiny and fates of each soul. Esoteric symbols such as the pentagram hold a wealth of knowledge, and the deeper we look, the more we will find. This video has served to just bring some basic information regarding the pentagram. However, it is up to each seeker to step through the door and continue on their journey of self-discovery. I also hope this information helps to alleviate the misconceptions that many have about the symbol of the pentagram, relating it to evil or something negative that is to be feared. For the language of higher wisdom is never to be feared. As Manly P. Hall says, "Wisdom fears no thing, but still bows humbly to its own source. With its deeper understanding, loves all things, for it has seen the beauty, the tenderness, and the sweetness which underlie life's mystery."